As the cloud is maturing, more and more organizations are looking to save cost in their cloud. While it is totally understandable and absolutely necessary to do your cloud cost optimization in a procedural and in a framework way. But having said that, I'm also seeing that there are a lot of organizations which are just jumping into this FinOps bandwagon without really considering if they need a separate FinOps team or if they really need a specialized third party FinOps operator to save cost for them. Before you hire someone to do exclusively your FinOps, you also need to make sure that it will be worth it and they will be saving cost. Upfront, if someone can promise you that they will only get paid if they save you some cost, then that is fine. But if there is someone who is charging you a static fee every month or for every quarter, then you should think twice before going that way. There are three pitfalls which you can fall into if you do the FinOps without thinking and without planning. For many organizations, there is no reasonable return on investment on hiring an exclusive third party or creating a totally separate FinOps team. Remember that cloud costs are all about architecture, and architecture is all about cost. I'm not saying that organizations shouldn't manage their cloud finances. It just means that they don't need to manage their cloud finances in a way that's meaningfully different from the way that they have historically managed IT spending in their on prem data centers. When I say FinOps in this context, I'm indicating an organization taking an approach and processes for cloud financial management that are different from their established on premises IT financial management. Okay, so there are three reasons where you shouldn't be really going all guns blazing into the FinOps. First and foremost, if your cloud bill is already very low, like couple of $100,000 even less, then you shouldn't be really creating a separate FinOps team or hiring an exclusive FinOps resource or even going about hiring a third party vendor to manage costs for you. The cost of hiring an exclusive and separate FinOps practice will always outweigh that small cloud bill. Secondly, if your infrastructure is not really variant, then you shouldn't be worrying about scaling down or scaling off. If your applications are allocated a static amount of infrastructure and their usage is almost entirely predictable, like when there will be peak load and when there will be off peak, then you shouldn't be really worrying about optimizing those applications in terms of infrastructure because your cloud bill for each application is essentially the same every month for the static applications. So you should nevertheless configure a budget alert in case something weird happens that makes usage spike, but that likely will be a one off thing when the application is first deployed, perhaps with a once a year review. Then another thing is that if you don't use self service, then you shouldn't really worry about any bill surprises. In most of the cases, your developers, application management engineers, data scientists, and other technical end users do not have direct self-service access to cloud services. Instead, all cloud design and provisioning is done by a central infrastructure and operations team, or alternatively, all cloud requests go through a service catalog and are manually reviewed and approved. Therefore, nothing happens in the cloud that's outside of central ops team or knowledge. But of course, you need to make sure that if everything is centralized and provisioned through your cloud ops team, then the cloud ops team must use some automation, some guardrails to make sure that they are provisioning only what is required and according to the organization's policies. Now, after these three things, you must make sure that you are following the cost optimization practices. Again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't really even care about FinOps or cloud cost optimization if you meet these three things. The thing is, you should always make sure that you are turning off the resources which you are not using. You should always use automation to provision as per some guardrails and policies. You should always put in restrictive measures so that there will be no backdoors to provision any resources. Plus, you should also make sure that you are allocating the cost centers to the respective teams. Plus, you should always make sure that your tagging is up to date and representative of your organization policies. You should also do all the basics of cloud cost hygiene, like preventing the gross waste. You should have budget alerts so that you could gain rapid awareness of accidents. You should make sure that you manage spend allocation in terms of showback and chargeback. And also, you must do discount related planning. For example, if you're using AWS, you should look at savings plan for compute and reserved instances for RDS, and so on and so forth. So, regardless of whether you go for FinOps teams or third-party providers, you should always do the basics of cloud optimization. But if you meet these three criteria, you don't really need a separate exclusive FinOps team. I hope this was useful. If you have any comments or feedback, please put them in the comment section. Thank you very much.